Welcome. We are back here again on Take Center Stage with Marisa, the Own It magazine and publishing company. My name is Marisa. I am your host, and I am also the CEO and editor in chief of Own It magazine and publishing. One thing we just don't do is we just are not a magazine. We are a business coach, career coach, life coach, all of those things that we need and are required for us to take things to the next level. This platform is for dreamers, those people who dare to dream and have the audacity and the tenacity to make their dreams their reality. And so take a center stage and owning it with me is CEO and founder of Revolution Ascension, my girl, Jacqueline LuLu Brown. And so thank you for always being in the house with me.
Thank you. How are you today?
I am good. We're gonna go right in
Okay.
because as the music was toning down and we were coming in, and you know I like to speak off the cuff. I don't like to be all prepared. Some people are prepared. They got their little props in front of them and they're reading. That's not kind of how I like to do things. Talking about being authentic. And
Right.
so one of the things we had tapped in our last time together was talking to our audience about burnout, talking to professionals, as well as organizations. We kind of took a little bit of a shift there and started talking about organizations. But the one thing that was coming to my mind as the music was fading and we were getting ready to open up with our dialogue today was that thing about how we know ourselves, right? So even though we deal with identity crisis and things like that, and people speaking to us, and we go through a roller coaster of being sure of ourselves, being confident of ourselves, and when we have that one interjection, that one rejection, that one interjection that causes our self-worth, self-esteem to go down. And the key to the work that you and I do is to teach people how to understand that that's just life, right? That's going to happen. But when you know who you are and you begin to do a conscious level of self-awareness, you know how to navigate. You understand, and you can see some of the triggers when you are willing to do the work. You can kind of see the triggers before, or I call them the traps and snares of the enemy. That enemy could be external or internal, right? You can see the traps and snares of the enemy, and you can know how to navigate through all of that successfully. It doesn't mean that you're not going to go through the pings of your emotions, your ego being bruised, and all that. It just means that you're not going to stay in the pit too long. And so when we left our last session, we talked about political savvy. And that was one of the things that are so important, because that's where the daggers come in, right? That's the traps, the snares, that if you are not conscious of how you show up in crises like this or scenarios like this, how it cannot work to your favor. And what we want to do with the work that we do is help you to navigate through that successfully so that you don't get caught up in the personal part of it, and you see the bigger picture while in the moment. So, Lulu, talk about political savvy, and talk about politics in the workplace.
Political savvy. Sometimes people think to be political savvy means that you have to have experience in a corporate environment, or you have to have come through a certain rank in your career or in your business. And that's not being politically savvy. Political savvy has its own definition, but I want to talk about it from a perspective of an individual being successful. And you can be successful and political and have political savviness as long as you are willing to stay grounded and authentic and true to yourself. Because being political savvy, and I hear people say all the time, oh, well, I'm not political. Oh, well, I'm not politically savvy. And they really don't understand that they're sort of doing themselves a disservice, because when you have the ability to first know who you are and what your genius zone is, when you tap into that genius zone, no matter what the situation is. It can be something that is political in corporate, it could be something that's political with your community advocacy, whatever your particular role is. When you are pulling from that genius zone, you're being political savvy, it's going to come out. You're going to be able to operate, because being politically savvy in the most simplest terms is being able to navigate and to operate amongst any situation with any group of people, any culture, and in any corporation. Being able to do that navigating without losing who you are at your core, at your essence, that is really the piece that I think people miss sometimes. And I think that is an area that yourself and myself, we both love to teach on, because we are about getting to a person's authenticity, not inappropriateness, but
Right.
authenticity, and actually helping them to find their genius zone. Because once they find it, they don't have to worry. Being politically savvy, it's going to be there when needed.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so important for you to understand that no matter where you are, no matter what you do, whether it's your life, right? So we got to be political in our lives. And what does political mean? It means just dealing with the stuff, right? Dealing with different personalities,
Mhm,
dealing with different, demands,
mhm.
expectations. That's what political savvy is all about. It's dealing with someone's expectations, dealing with the hierarchy, right? What are the rules of engagement? Understanding the rules of engagement, understanding who's in front of you.
Mhm.
Uh, and the biggest thing is making sure that you understand that, you know, the important thing is you want the results, right? Right? And you
Right.
say, and you do, you want the results. And
Mhm.
that's the bigger picture. And understanding that there does not have to be a compromise of your morals, your
No,
integrity.
no.
It doesn't have to be a compromise of that. And that's one thing that we have to do is we have to understand that these are the rules of engagement. Is political savvy. You have to understand the rules of engagement. You have to understand that it's not personal. It's important to remove your ego.
Yeah.
Why is that important? Because your ego will cause you to miss out, right?
Yes.
For pride's sake. And at the end of the day, it's so important for you. You want the results, right? If you want the promotion, then you have
Mhm.
to navigate. You have to know how to navigate, meet the requirements for the promotion. You cannot get upset because you did not get picked this time.
That's right.
You got to be open to the fact that there may be a different course or a different pathway to getting the results that you want, but understanding the benefits of learning how to navigate through any organization's culture, for through your own family's culture, because we got to talk about not only you are an individual that has to show up every day for your life. You got to
Right.
show up in your life every day. You got to show up for your friends, your family, your kids, your husband, or your boyfriend, whatever it is you got going. You got to show up for those people. So you got to know how to navigate through that. You need political savvy in that. You need political savvy in your career. And you're
Mhm.
going to need political savvy because all of these domains, your life, your
Mhm.
career, are going to require you to navigate. And I
Yes.
always say, pick your battles wisely. Sometimes it's better to bridle the tongue and say nothing
Mhm.
and to engage. And
Mhm.
so we talked about, and I'm going to introduce it here, is what's coming up for you and how do you train people, because that's your expertise, is training individuals, not at the not even yeah at the C-suite levels, to help them to maintain, because it's
Mhm.
one thing to get there,
Right.
it's one thing to be there, it's one thing to exist, but are you thriving? Are you in, as you say, are you owning your brilliance? Are you walking in your brilliance uninterrupted, right? Are you walking in your brilliance with peace? How are you walking in your brilliance? Are you resting? Because I talk about resting. Are you
Mhm.
resting in your brilliance? When you rest in your brilliance, political savvy is nothing for you because you already know how to do it. You ain't worried about somebody throwing you shade in the workplace. You ain't worried about nobody. You ain't worried about shade because you got so much sunlight that there is no shade for you. So when you have these retreats, when you have these, and these are boutique retreats because you're not trying to get the masses. You want to have intensity. You want to be intentional. You want it to be powerful, high in quality. So talk about it because you're going to Morocco, and I'm just letting you know that I'm sewing into myself. So I'm going to Morocco too. I want everybody to know that because I'm not going to tell you something to do that is not something I'm going to do or experience myself. So you're going to Morocco, and the intent of going to Morocco is just like God told Abraham, I'm taking you out of the country to another place, right? So you can be set aside and you can focus in on this self-development, which will help you in your career. It will help you in your career and business, or it will help you transfer from your career full-time to your business. These are the places that you want to go. Talk to them about Morocco and what that's going to be like.
Okay, thank you so much. And when you talk about the environment is so critical because what the goal is to take people out of what they are used to. Now, I could very well do that and go to Florida. I could very well do that and go to California. That's still their environment. That's still the culture that they're dealing with every day. But when you can take someone totally out of their environment into a culture that is totally different from them, where the people don't necessarily think the way that they do, because we're talking about diversity, and we often miss in the real essence of diversity with associating it with someone's race or their
Yeah.
creed. And diversity, when you're looking at diversity from a broader perspective, so having them in an environment that is 100% different from what they're used to. And it opens up the mindset. So the first thing that we're doing is we're opening up an individual's mindset and we're placing them in an environment where they can literally shut out everything that they know. They can shut out everything that is where they are on a daily basis. And there's two things that we do, and I want to tie those back to something you said. So you talked about being politically savvy. And one of the keys, and we cover this to being politically savvy, is respect. Respect. You have to respect. You're not going to be successful in your political savviness if you do not have respect. And when you have respect for people that are different from you, people that don't look like you, that is huge. And I'll share that when you go into a different environment, you don't have to take, you might be the person in charge, but you don't have to take your environment and sit it in the middle of their environment. So,
Right.
here, very quickly, a little short story. When I was working in corporate, in one of my roles, I had global responsibility. So, that was from a support perspective, as well as those that reported under into my organization. And in that, it included going and traveling to India, probably more so than I would say Israel or the UK. And when I went to India, the first thing that I did, and this is the first time that I went, I'm preparing because I'm going into this new role and I have this global responsibility. And I had already been all over the UK. I had been to France. I had been to other areas. But when it was time for me to go to India, this was my first of many trips. The first thing I did was I learned and studied the culture before I got there. Now, I had people in the States that I was working with that were of, whether they were Hindi or Muslim, but they were born and raised, or their parents came from India. And what I wanted to get is a real understanding of the culture. So
Mm.
the people that I was working with, I began to ask them lots of questions. And they were more than willing to share because, for one thing, they understood that I had enough respect for where I was going. Even though when I get there, I'm basically kind of like the person in charge of those that are supporting this particular location. That didn't matter. I needed to know what the culture is like, and I needed to understand that. The other reason why it was so important is because I had two openings. And for whatever reason, people kept leaving and going somewhere else. So I needed to know what made them leave. Is it because we were an American based company that had a location in that area? But I wanted to understand. So it's respecting and learning the culture. That made me, listen, you couldn't get any more politically savvy than I was when I was operating in those different cultures, because I didn't go in with my American mindset. I did not sit with other people and disregard the time of
Right.
year,
Right.
disregard the home life and the hierarchy within the home life. I didn't disregard and make and expect for a female leader or employee to behave or act the way that I do. I'm in a different
Mhm.
culture. My home life is 100% different than their home life. And the
Right.
fact that I took the time to
Mhm.
understand that. And when I walked in the door and I began to have conversations and I began to open up and say, well, because I know, and I would finish my sentence with something that was personal to them. And they were like, wow, she's so different than everyone else that has come, because I had respect at the deepest level for
Yeah.
who they were personally, not just professionally. And
Right.
so that's one of the things that we go into when we are helping women in our sessions. That's I want to say, of everything else, that's probably a key, is respect.
Yeah. Respect. Respect. I know you wrote about business acumen. We won't go into that in this session, but we will tap into your thorough analysis and recommendations for us to be, this is a part of that. Business acumen is a part of political savvy. And
Mhm.
it's a part of, do we get the results that we want? And why, how are people perceiving us? When you think about political savvy, you can't think about it just you. You have to also think about how you're impacting and affecting other people. And respect is very important, because do you respect authority? Even when you're not in agreement. Because I remember spending years and years under leadership that I'm like, oh God, what the heck, And I believe that we've all done that, where we looked at leadership and not say that we could do a better job, but thought that something could be better about it, and felt like if there was an opportunity for my feedback to be heard, and not only just heard but applied, that we could see the difference. And what is more impactful and influential through political savvy than to show someone how much respect you have by doing your due diligence and knowing who they are? Not necessarily that this is them, but it tells them that you cared enough to go above and beyond the call of duty. And that's what political savvy is all about in the positive perspective. We have to deal with, we talked about too, about bullying. We have to deal with bullying. We have to deal with the you know, I used to say to a friend of mine, make sure you play nice on the playground, be nice on the playground. And our job is our playground, right? It's where we
Yes.
use all of the gifts, talents, the expertise that we have. It's where we get to play with that, right? That should
Mhm.
be, we should be going to a job and we should be going there to have fun with the things that we've learned and mastered. And that having fun and having a more of a joyful
Mhm.
perspective or attitude towards the work environment and the work that we do. When you do, you explode, you tap into it and you unleash your unlimited potential, and it shows up in your performance. I remember when I first started working, not realizing because no one like yourself has been there to identify what it is that you're experiencing so that you're no longer just haphazardly going through it, but you're conscious of how you're going through it. And I never knew that I was a high achiever.
Mhm.
I never knew that I don't want just a little thing. And it's not that I am competitive because I'm not. I don't like competing at all. I don't go to games to compete. I just like the grander or the nicer thing, and it's not because I want everything big and all glitz and glamoury, because some, I feel like too much is gaudy, it's tacky and
Mhm.
distasteful, but I like just enough that's more than I guess the average. But I did not know that, and because I did not know that and no one took the time to tap into it, I'm discovering that in a much later time in my life. And
Mhm.
now that I've discovered it, oh my God, it is unleashed. It is unleashed. It's unapologetic. It's unleashed. And I enjoy every bit of the pain, the struggle, the ups, the downs. I enjoy it because I'm wired for this. And so we should be going to our jobs and we should be so excited about showing up there so that we can play with the little tools and the resources and all the little games, which is software, technology, equipment, whatever it is that we are required to do our jobs and our jobs provide it. We're to go to play in the playground. But we know, even in our elementary years, that when you go to play in the playground, everybody's not nice. And everybody don't play fair. And we got jealousy, we got envy, we got strife, we got all of that going on. And what you do with what you do as an expert is you help women to overcome that, to see the bigger picture, and hopefully change the tide, to be a disruptor of the norm, and to say, hey, we're going to take this negative and turn it into a positive. We're gonna segue that into our next session, our next show, the next time that we go live. But we're gonna talk about that, playing on the playground, in the work environment, and also in the business environment, and playing in the playground in the life, because only it is about your life, your career, your business. All of these domains, we have got to master how we're showing up and navigating them. Why is that important? So that we have our own peace of
Yes.
mind, and that we are able to lessen to the point of hopefully eliminating unnecessary stressors. So, close us out. How can they go to Morocco? Because this is exactly what they're going to get when they get there. So, talk to them about Morocco.
Morocco is going to be phenomenal. And they can go to Morocco. I want to take a step back and say that the price point, it's December the 11th to the 17th, 2023, right now. And the price point is in a place where it will never be there again, because the company, which is MWASI Community, they are not going to allow, this really deep discount. This is a one time, uh let's make an offer to people that normally maybe don't have their company to sponsor them and can't necessarily afford it, so let's really do this at cost. So that's what's so great about this is really a gift, even though they have to pay for it. But trust me, it
Yeah.
is more than half. It's less than half of what they would pay going into 2024. And that's both for the MWASI community as well as myself, Revolution Ascension. and what they can do to get more information or to register. I encourage people not to make rash decisions. I am not one of those people that says, okay, here's the thing, go right now and blindly sign up. What they can do is they can go to our website, and that's revolutionascension.com, and they can literally schedule I give free 45-minute consultations. I send a form to them because I literally want people to get the most that they possibly can in that 45 minutes. And what we're going to talk about is whatever they put in that form, but then we're going to talk about how it relates to what they will experience in Morocco. And so what they can do is just go to our website, and it's going across the screen, and book that 45-minute consultation, and let's talk about what your challenges are, and let's make sure that we are setting your expectation that you are going to walk away with exactly what you need when you go to Morocco with us. It's going to be a fabulous retreat, and it's going to be life changing. It will be transformative, and we will tackle and talk about things that we need to, but we never do.
We never do. We never do. And so you will get that. You'll get that little launch for Morocco. But trust me, contact LuLu because she does have packages. She has coaching packages available to you. Reach out to her. Listen, the more that we have people speaking out, and this is a revelation without getting preachy or anything like that. This is a revelation. It says, forsake not the assembly of the saints. And we had this in the backstage talk. Forsake not the assembling of the saints. And why? Because during that time when you are with like-minded people who desire to have the same fulfilling life, who desire to have dreams and ambitions, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going off to start a business. You can have a dream inside your career, that you want your career to look a certain way. You want to be around a certain mindset of people that speak your language, that get you when you open up your mouth. This is what you want to do. This is how you get there. This is how you discover your tribe, so to speak, if you want to use that terminology. This is how you do it. So don't wait just to go to Morocco. You want to connect with her immediately. You want to connect. You want to make that. You want to forge that fellowship together. And you want to start getting yourself around a circle of women who want to speak positively into your life, rejuvenate you on a regular basis, and give you the support that your spirit is dying inside to get, because we all need it. We all need it. You come alive when you're around women that speak your language and get you and love you in a healthy, holistic, authentic, organic way. So we're out. We love you very much. Make sure that you tune in to the sessions we had before and all of that other good stuff. And so we're out. Take care.